And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Thursday, April 16th, 1:07 in the afternoon. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette, depending where you're located today, it feels more like the middle of winter. In some areas, it feels like late spring. I don't recall seeing a temperature spread this big over this short a distance in a long time. I'll give you a good example here. So let's see. We've got right now, it's 33 in Logan Center and 75 here in the FM area. And even a closer range, just up the road in Galesburg, it's only 50 and 75 here in Fargo. So, boy, obviously there's a front in there, and it's kind of stalled out just to the northwest of the FM area. Much colder weather, 20s and 30s in the Northern Valley into northern Minnesota. Yet from the FM area south and southeastward, temperatures in the 70s and some spots approaching 80 degrees. So a good almost 50-plus degree spread from north to south across the area today. Just, boy, it's a little something for everybody. If you don't like it, drive about 30 miles either north or south, and bingo, you've got a new season.
I'm out. You're finishing the show alone. Bye, guys.
Yeah, right. Addison wants to get out and enjoy the nice weather while it's here.
No, he doesn't. Addison wants to drive north where it's cooler.
Well, good point. Yeah, she does. Yeah. That's not good for your cold, though, buddy. You need
I don't want what's good for the cold. I want what's good for the... I want to be cold. That's all I want. Is that too much for a guy to ask?
We'll get you an ice
Apparently
bath in
this
there.
Weather it is.
Yeah, we do have some really crazy weather across the area today. Obviously, like I said, there's a front that's bisecting the area. And like I said, even just here in Cass County, a good 25-degree spread from northwest to southeast. So that front will kind of stall here for the next couple of hours and then push to the east and southeast. So if you're at work, go out on lunch break if you can. Soak up the nice weather here in the FM area, because by the time you get off of work, that front will be through, and we'll be looking at temperatures falling into the 40s and 50s quickly as we head into the evening behind that cold front. And then as we head into tonight, we're going to remain blustery, chilly, and we're looking at temperatures falling off into the 30s. And we're going to stay in the 30s most of the day tomorrow. And there will be a band of some light snow to add insult to injury, pushing through in the morning hours. We could pick up a trace to a couple tenths of an inch. Not much. Nothing to really worry about. And temperatures in the upper 30s tomorrow. And a chilly weekend. Temperatures only in the low 40s Saturday and upper 40s on Sunday. But then we warm right back up again next week. And by the middle of next week, we'll be back up into the 70s. And another storm system comes our way later next week, and we'll be talking about that system. And then there's a big system that's expected to affect the area early May. We'll be talking about that after Weather and Ag in Focus with Gary Lezak. He'll be joining us for our LRC Spring and Summer Outlook on the Jay Thomas Show from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock today. So you want to tune in. We'll break down week by week, month by month, when the dry periods will be, when the wet periods will be, what about temperature-wise this summer. We'll run down all of that for you. And if you have any questions, you can give us a call or shoot us an email, weather@flagfamily.com. Or if you have any ag questions, you can email Bridgette at ag@flagfamily.com. So it should be a good show today, Bridgette. Gary's looking forward to it. He always does. He loves talking about this. And, a lot of people plan their summer trips, summer vacations around what the LRC holds.
Well, and we look forward to folks not only doing those emails to us on our Superior Grain Equipment powered inboxes, but you can make calls to us today from now through the 5 o'clock hour on the JLA Insurance phone line of 701-293-9000. And we'll be taking those calls, especially after we get into Jay's show, because, again, people have questions about specific dates and times. I think I already have some, so maybe I should get my questions and dates in first ahead of everybody else's. But we look forward to answering all of those for you. And throughout today, as we visit with our upcoming guest, that's Gary Shields with Northland Potatoes, You can catch us on the live stream. Lighthouse Commodities makes sure that you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Acres TV. More and more of you are taking advantage of it because you just never know what things we need to show. I mean, yesterday I had all sorts of websites and different highlights to share with folks, and we want you to continue to do that with us whenever possible. So with this weather, this is sort of the time that we begin to get a lot of new chickens in the neighborhood. So for those of you who have your backyard flocks, maybe you're even starting yours for the first time this year, there's some reminders and maintenance to go along with your chickens. So first of all, Dean's been talking about temperature. So that's a pretty critical factor to these new chicks. If you're heading on out to pick them up at your local favorite farm supply store, or even if you just got some hatching, it's best to use a heat lamp. They need this heat source for about 4 to 6 weeks until their full adult feathers have grown in. So put in the heat lamp, have a thermometer there so you can keep track of the temperature. You want it to be about 93 to 95 degrees for the first week that you have those chickens home. Addison does not want it to be 93 or 95 degrees. He's dealing with that in the production room already. And then you would begin to lower that temperature by 5 degrees each week so you can pay attention to what they're doing. And if they're huddled up under the lamp, means they're cold. If they aren't evenly spread out under the lamp, they're too warm. Turn it down. Don't overcook the chicken nuggets while they still wear feathers, for heaven's sakes. Additionally, I did not know this. Now, full disclosure, I have never raised chickens, but I was unaware that there's actually a problem called pasty butt in chickens, in tiny chicks. So that's when your chick, their little butt, has dried poop on it, and you need to act fast because it blocks their vent, and if you don't treat it, actually it's fatal because it can be a result of stress, temperature change, even incorrect diet. So you need to give them a little bath. Nice warm water, wash them off, be gentle, and you may even just use like a warm washcloth. And then when you're done, you can even dry them with a dry towel or use low heat on a hairdryer and fluff them up a little bit. Get that chicken down looking good. You can even put a dab of Vaseline back there and let them so that they're safe to not get pasty butt once again. So I learned something new about chickens when reading this. I had no idea that was a real thing, but it is. Okay. So beware your chicks. Then also when it comes to that diet that we want to be a little more careful about, you don't have to give them electrolytes, but it is actually recommended. They have a lot of stress in that first week. I mean, they might have just gotten mailed to your house, or you just picked them up at the farm supply store and drove them home. And it's been a day where little kids keep coming by and picking them up. I'd be stressed out too. And so those electrolytes are a really great short-term boost to get those chicks hydrated and through that stressful time. All you'd really need to do is mix a teaspoon of sugar into a quart of water, and that will help give them the electrolytes that they need. And when is it time to move them outside? We're almost there, depending on what part of the state that you're in. When they have their feathers and the temperature is right, usually they're about 6 to 8 weeks old, and it's at least 55 degrees out time, then it's time to start moving them outside, introducing them in with the rest of the flock. They're not going to start laying eggs until they get to about 18 to 22 weeks old. So that means they're roughly about 4 to 6 months old when that happens. Now, the breed of chicken that you have, their nutrition and daylight will impact when they actually start laying eggs. This time of the year, everybody who has backyard chickens is swimming in eggs because the days are longer. And so we're seeing a lot more egg production. Wasn't happening back at Christmas when we were all baking like maniacs. So now we're catching up. Lots of eggs out there, and more of the chicks are maturing and ready to go online, you might say, by going ahead and producing more eggs. So just wanted to give you a few updates about chickens, and what could be happening in your world. And if you've got any comments, you can certainly send those to me via email again, ag@flagfamily.com, my superior grain equipment powered inbox. Dean's is going to be full as we get ready for the weather special later today. He's weather@flagfamily.com.
I did get an email from one of our listeners, and they want to know, I don't know if they're kidding or if they're serious, is pasty butt contagious for humans if you're dealing with the chicks?
Okay. That could be a real question. I mean, I don't think it's just sarcasm.
Right.
I don't necessarily think so. I, I, I will have to do a little more research. Again, I'm not a poultry
Right.
expert, but I don't necessarily think so. So I'll find out for sure.
Okay, let's
and
hope
let
not.
us know.
That wouldn't be good.
If not, I'm going to recommend some over-the-counter medications for you.
Yes.
Nonetheless, after the livestock market report from the American Ag Network, we'll be joined by Gary Shields with Northland Potatoes. It's all about taters, and we'll do that next. Cass County Farm Bureau does a phenomenal job of being the sponsor for our assistant ag directors, and we thank them kindly for making sure that once a month we have a student who joins us on air to interview guests, ask questions, and be a part of everything that happens in the background as well. They have pillars of agricultural education, connecting with the consumer, and so much more. And one way that we do it is by working with Cass County Farm Bureau to bring our assistant ag directors to you. So thank you to them for doing that. In answer to the question you had from a listener, Dean, no, this is direct from a veterinarian website. Humans cannot get pasty butt like chicks can. It is specific, non-contagious. It's an anatomical condition that happens to the vent on chicks. But humans can get salmonella or others from handling chickens with spoiled feathers. So as I've always said, wash your hands. Don't let the chickens wander around on your kitchen counters. I mean, I know where their feet have been. You don't want to have that on your kitchen counters. It's not going to be pleasant. Our guest today is Gary Shields. He's with Northland Potato Growers Association out of East Grand Forks, Minnesota. Gary, I have so many questions for you today. We may have to book you a second time already. That's just how this is looking.
Well, that's good, and I'll tell you what is contagious: potatoes.
And the goodness they bring, right?
The greatness they bring, and we can talk about that, but good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, one of the things that has been going on this winter is talking about new nutritional guidelines and what that does when it comes to the potato market. Potatoes have gone through some cycles where they were great, they weren't great, they're great. So which side of that are we on right now?
Well, we can say that about coffee. We can say that about bananas. You can say that about anything that a consumer eats. Our industry tends to do that. I think the great news is that with the restructuring of the pyramid, we're now recognized as a nutritious, affordable vegetable, moving away from previous efforts to eliminate or limit them in schools. Number one, we have them back in schools. They're recognized, this reclassification acknowledges the valuable source of nutrients like potassium, vitamin C, fiber. I go to restaurants sometimes and I'll order a steak and they'll say, "What starch do you want?" We're not doing that anymore. We're not using the word starch. The potato is the most versatile vegetable. And over the years, they've tried to reclassify the potato into the grain market. It's foolish. It's a part of the HHS, the USDA. But with these new guidelines, with the potato being recognized as a vegetable, not a starch, this is great, just great all around for the industry and, quite frankly, for the nutrition you get.
How are potato acres? I saw a report back right after the first of the year saying that potato production had been slightly down in 2025. Do we feel that even if our acre numbers are down, are we still able to produce more bushels, or well, I should say more pounds per acre?
Hundredweight.
Hundredweight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do we stand with production and so forth, Gary?
Well, all markets ebb and flow. For those that maybe don't know, we are North Dakota, Minnesota combined under Northland Potato Growers Association. We have the chip, process, seed, and fresh potatoes. Fresh potatoes are primarily grown on open market. Process is a contract. Seed is seed, sell to the farmer for growing. And so with that, we see ebbs and flows of acres. This year, across the United States, Mother Nature just blessed everybody, and we have a surplus of potatoes this year. Now, when you take our acreage, and let's say we have roughly 72,000 acres of potatoes in North Dakota proper, we don't see real high fluctuations. You'll see maybe 4,000 acres reduced for whatever reason, but our industry is stable in that acreage. Now, with the coming of Agristo, and of course we have our wonderful partners, Cavendish Farms, Simplot Farms, Lamb Weston, McCain's, but with this new opportunity coming to the area, we could be looking at an increase of anywhere between 35, 50,000 more acres with this new process opportunity. So we will be seeing a growth in acreage. I don't see any reason for us to have any reason to cut back in other areas. Our fresh market is strong. We're working on export markets, not to get off your question, but I received a letter April 15th that came through President Trump's office that supports our efforts on the Japan and getting fresh potatoes into Japan. The world is changing, and folks are realizing that growing potatoes is a less cost of production than rice, and potatoes bring a more nutritional value. Also, we have increased frozen storage throughout the world. So we have capacity now to take those exports and ship them and sell them.
I don't think that's off track at all, Gary. I think that's fairly exciting news to see an increase and shift in more exports because I think why wouldn't we, right? If, like you said, if we're finding that we're more nutritious, we're easier to grow as a potato, and if this region of the Red River Valley can play a part in that, especially for fresh potatoes, boy, let's take it, right?
Well, I think that, and not to get into this, but a lot of folks don't realize China is the largest potato producer in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think, really? But they are. And we deal with those import-export issues. But with that, focusing on Northland potato growers, like all agricultural commodities, these are some pretty trying times right now with fertilizer costs, higher inputs. But one of the things, if I could real quick, is GLP-1.
Mm-hmm.
GLP-1 has disrupted our food chain. There's statistics out there that say combined that almost 20% of households are on GLP-1 today, and that would be your Ozempics, taking a shot to reduce weight, and it's used for other values. But I have to tell you that the studies that we've done, and we've done extensive schooling on this, that potatoes are a supplement. So if you are on a GLP-1 diet, you would take potatoes, for example, and you can boil them. You can put them in the refrigerator, change the resistant starch, and you can make a wonderful potato salad. And how that works in throughout our system, small intestine, large intestine. I don't want to get into the science of it, but potatoes can be a supportive mechanism for those because you still have to consume protein. You still have to consume carbohydrates. And of course, your earlier conversation about chicken is protein. We're talking about carbohydrates here, and we're really talking about potassium and fiber. Fiber is critical, and a potato brings a tremendous amount of fiber, and of course, vitamin C more than a banana.
And I tell you, potatoes, people forget what a versatile vegetable it is. There are so many things that come along with potatoes, just as you were saying, in vitamins, nutrients, and so much more. All right, Gary, there's more questions to come. We want to see if there's some impacts on what's coming with the Farm Bill 2.0, you might say. And I've got some articles out of your Potato Growers magazine that I think are wonderful, and we want to share with some of our listeners today. So stick around. After the bottom of the hour news, we'll be back with Gary Shields, Northland Potato Growers. We get to spend today visiting with Gary Shields. He is with Northland Potatoes because that represents potato growers all across this upper Midwestern region. And Gary, I think Dean had a question in regards to a couple of different potato varieties.
Yeah, Gary, we had a viewer email us in asking what is better nutritional wise, red potatoes or russets?
You know, it's funny you ask that question because I have those statistics right in front of me. And I will say this, that through multiple conversations with Potatoes USA in our National Potato Council, we have unified labeling. If you look at any potato labeling, you're going to see a standard for, you know, the potassium, sodium, vitamin C, magnesium, phosphorus, calcium, iron, protein. We do that because there's various times that you can test a red or a yellow against a russet, and depending on the variety, that vitamin C, and we're talking minute differences like 2.13 milligrams for vitamin C's. Although vitamin C in red potatoes does tend to show higher levels, I cannot promote that. I can look at the testing. I'm looking at testing done here by the Foods Data Central, and it says, for example, on the vitamin C, 10.9 milligrams in a russet, and in a red, it is 21.3 milligrams. So I'm not telling folks to run right out and not buy a russet, but I will say this, because we are here to promote Northland Potatoes. We do not grow table stock russets in North Dakota, Minnesota. They're for process, and they make the best French fries, hash browns, and tater tots you can buy. We grow red and yellow dryland potatoes. So when you go in the grocery store and you're seeing a russet and a red and a yellow, those russets do not come from here. Now, Area 2 in southern Minnesota potentially has, you know, table stock russets. Northland Potato Growers Association is separate, but we support all potatoes. We think consumers should eat any potato because they are good for you.
Especially French fries.
You know, and there's juries out on that, how you cook a potato and what happens to the nutritional value. But I work with the scientists at Potatoes USA, the nutritionalists, I should say, at Potatoes USA in Denver, and they do a great job scanning all these publications that cast aspersions on any vegetable. But at the end of the day, we are a whole food. And folks have to understand that potatoes are very good for you. We just need to exercise and demand the carbohydrates to create the fuel to keep us going. That's the secret.
Absolutely. Gary, you are so spot on. And don't forget to add a little butter to those potatoes. That's not a bad thing either. Okay.
A
Real
little
butter.
bit of butter doesn't hurt anything. It's what floats your boat. But even a plain potato, survival. Let's not forget they grew them on Mars. So,
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
You're exactly right. Matt Damon did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Gary, before we stopped for the news, I wanted to know if there were some things coming in what we're calling the Farm Bill 2.0 or the Skinny Bill. Are there some things there that have impacted potatoes, whether good or bad?
Greatly, hugely. Just a quick stat, cut me off for your news, but potatoes, specialty crops, which are nuts and fruits and potatoes and such, make up half of the U.S. food crop sales, but we receive only 0.5% of traditional Farm Bill funding. We are working on that. President Trump did not talk much about us during his speech, but on March 27th, he did have farmers out to the White House. They talked about the loan guarantees and such, so new labeling. But Farm 2.0, very important to us for research funding, technology, mechanism, trade and exports.
Gary, you are exactly right. You mentioned having folks out in Washington regarding potatoes here during National Ag Week. And I know I have the article about it. I just have to find it. Greg Halverson, Black Gold Farms, they planted potatoes from North Dakota at the White House, or was it the
Yes.
USDA building? Okay.
Well,
Yep.
I believe it was USDA, but yes, they did. And Leah and Greg from Black Gold Farms, just great producers, are constantly bringing our mission to Washington, D.C. in our cause. I traveled out there last year with Greg when he received Potato Man of the Year. He didn't know it, but he got it. And so we're blessed to have all of our wonderful growers that work hard to promote one of the best vegetables that you could put in your basket at the most affordable prices.
One of our listeners wanted to make sure that we remembered not just can we add butter, but she said sour cream on those potatoes. So that made me laugh just a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
well, the potato in its natural state is very nutritious in supplies, but we have to treat ourselves. And all we have to remember is God enabled us to move, and the more we move, the more we can enjoy the wonderful foods that we plant and grow. It's very simple. Eat potatoes. They are good for you. Walking is even greater.
you got that right. Speaking of walking, I have the article from your January Northland Potatoes magazine that talks about when you come to a fork in the road. So if you're walking, you see a fork in the road. And the headline says you can use that fork to eat 46,000 pounds of potatoes. There's a story about North Dakota potatoes and famous Yogi Berra. Do you have the details on that, Gary? Do you remember this article?
I started working for the potato growers in 1989, but I remember that very, very well. I worked with Lloyd Schmidt, and that conversation came out of one of our, I'll use the word wealthier growers back at the time. I can't remember if it was Tom Ryan or who it was, but they got into a conversation, and before you know it, Lloyd Schmidt came in and growers put a semi-truck of potatoes together, and we're going to dump those potatoes right on Yogi Berra's lawn. Now, he ended up donating those potatoes, but what a great promotional piece. I kind of tie that in with our moment of fame when our chocolate chippers hit the Johnny Carson show.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, just great memories what the Widman family does, and it's such a great tradition for us even today. But that Yogi Berra story, those were fun times because you could actually pull stuff like that off, right? But yeah, that was back in the day.
It was 1985. Yogi Berra was out here for the Roger Maris tournament, and he kind of smarted off and he said, I love potatoes, but I thought you only grew them in Idaho and Maine. So local producers took it upon themselves to take 46,000 pounds of potatoes to his New Jersey home, drop them on his front lawn. They had boxes and bags, and they were all donated to be used with charity in the local area to feed others. But I thought that was a great story that it just stands out. It's a great story.
It is a great story. And Lloyd Schmidt, the executive director at that time, flew out there to meet that truck. And Lloyd was a great promoter for this association. Research is our number one goal. And then, of course, legislation and promotion, but research is our number one goal.
Oh, Gary, we've really enjoyed a chance to visit with you today and talk all things potatoes. I truly do still have more topics, but we have to get to some other headlines and weather. And I'm just going to reach out to you after the show today. We'll probably reschedule you for another day to talk about there's a new potato variety that has come to market for North Dakota. There was a recent fly-in in Washington, D.C. for potato growers. And we just want to keep up on overall planting conditions and so forth for potatoes throughout the growing season. So, Gary, if folks are unfamiliar with your organization, where can they find Northland Potatoes and what it does?
they can simply go to nppga.org,
Mm-hmm.
nppga.org, and our website is full of a lot of fun facts and information.
That's phenomenal. So, Gary Shields, thank you so much for being a part of our day today.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. So, Dean, as we get ready to be on for the weather special coming up, a little bit of a recap on current conditions for folks.
Yeah, we've got a wide variety of temperatures across the area. In fact, looking at some area temperatures ranging, and just here in Cass County, ranging from right now, it's 54 in Galesburg, and we're at 77 in Fargo. So obviously there's a frontal boundary draped across the county, and that stretches back towards Jamestown and up northwest towards Mavie and Thief River areas. Behind that front, temperatures are in the 30s and 40s and 50s. Out ahead of that front, 70s, and yeah, we've even got our first 80 degree of the season in Morton, 81 degrees right now. So that front is kind of stalled over the area. So areas of northwestern Cass County and points northwest from there, probably going to be a much cooler afternoon. But here in the FM area and eastward into Lakes Country and southward towards Wahpeton and into areas of South Dakota, we're looking at 70s to near low 80s for the afternoon. Now, that cold front will sweep through the area as we head towards about 4 o'clock. So if you're at work and you get a chance to go out on a little lunch break, take it. Go for a little walk. You soak up the warm air, because by the time you get off of work, that cold front will be pushing through. Winds will shift to the north, and we'll quickly see temperatures falling off into the 50s and then 40s as we head towards sunset, before we drop down overnight into the 30s. And with mainly cloudy skies as well. Now, tomorrow, a little upper-level disturbance will ride through the area along with the cold air, and that will give us some snow showers in the morning. Could see a light wintry mix. I'm not looking for anything that's going to impact travel or anything like that, but we could pick up a couple tenths of an inch. That's kind of hard to swallow after temperatures around 80, and then the next day you get some light snow. But it won't last. We'll have temperatures in the upper 30s tomorrow afternoon. So whatever we get will melt in the afternoon. And then as we head into the weekend, kind of a cool one with more sunshine on Sunday than Saturday, and temperatures in the low 40s Saturday, upper 40s on Sunday. And then as we head into next week, we'll start to warm things up. 60s by Monday and back into the 70s by Wednesday. I think by the end of next week, we'll probably be in the upper 70s as another storm system comes our way as we head into late next week into the following weekend. So on our LRC special, we will be talking with Gary about the upcoming spring and summer. We'll highlight when the stormy periods will be, when the dry periods will be. What about big holidays like Memorial Day or the 4th of July? We'll be highlighting those dates. And if you have any specific dates, I've already had a couple of emails. Hey, I've got a wedding on such and such date. What does it look like? Are we going to be able to take pictures outside? You can email those questions to weather@flagfamily.com. Or if you have any ag questions regarding the upcoming spring and summer, email Bridgette, ag@flagfamily.com. And I believe, Bridgette, you're joining us at 3 o'clock, correct?
I am. I've been
Okay.
asked by a number of folks just now, what time am I on? I'll be there from 3 to 4 with you guys today to hear what we have to say. We'll compare notes on, how does that align with what we need to be doing through our planting and our growing season? And hopefully it aligns really well. And hopefully it's even just a smidge on the drier side so that we can raise a bigger, better crop than what one might anticipate. Although I don't mind seeing some rain that's going on so that we can refresh those pastures, etc. So that's one thing that we're going to like to see.
Right.
Okay, so, and Addison already said, what is the forecast for April 17th? I believe that would be tomorrow. I'm planning to be at work. I want to know if I can make it.
I need to make sure.
I'm sure you'll be able to make it.
That
buddy.
doesn't sound like a very professional forecast, Mr. Weather Boy.
What? That we're gonna get a little light
That it's
snow
going to
in
be
the
maybe
morning?
fine.
It's gonna be fine tomorrow. You'll be able to get around.
We'll see about that.
Do you want me to pick you up?
We'll see
I mean, I'm
about
not
that.
coming to town, but I'll tell you I'll pick you up and give you a ride. So
I could need one. Who knows? Dean won't give me a proper forecast. Anything could happen.
Cold.
That's right.
Deal with it.
I'll hold you to that.
You should love it tomorrow compared to today.
I'm for sure I will.
You might even want to walk to work. It's going to be so nice out for you.
I'm a slow walker.
Well, don't worry about it. If you're late, you're
Start
late.
tonight.
I can see the roof of my apartment building from the room I'm in, but I've made that walk before, and I know it still takes me an hour.
All you got to do is jog across the interstate. Hop the fence, avoid traffic, hop the other fence, and you're here.
I'm not going to...
You know, the last guy who did that at our studio got picked up by Fargo PD when he arrived, so maybe not that
Oh, did
method.
he?
You don't remember that?
No.
I do,
It was a good day.
because I pulled into the lot with a lot of cops thinking, what's going on at work today, kids? This looks fun. So, yeah. Okay, now, in case you make that walk and you're a little dehydrated, unlike yourself, maybe with severe dehydration in calves, do you know we can give them an IV to get them to perk up a little bit? Bueller. We can. Okay, so if you have a calf that's depressed, they don't want to stand, they're maybe staggering, they have sunken eyes, their limbs even feel cold, they're not trying to suckle off the mother cow, it's likely that that's dehydration and acidosis. So when the calf is unable to stand and you're seeing some of those problems, you can, in fact, put an IV into the calf. It's best to have a vet to help, okay, so we can get those intravenous fluids going in. If the calf is not able to stand and does not have a suckle reflex, do not try to administer oral fluids because that can create further concerns and problems for those calves. So keep an eye out for that. We have interviewed Nate the Hoof Guy in the past, and he is a fellow out of Wisconsin, and he specifically works with dairy animals to trim hooves. I am fascinated by watching his videos on Facebook. I don't know what it is that just draws me in and I have to watch. One thing he's come across, and I've had other vets make mention of, is called a hairy heel wart. That sounds terrible. And if I were a beef or a dairy animal, I'd be concerned about it too. It's actually a digital dermatitis that creates that hairy heel wart, and it's an infectious foot disease that can be found in both beef or dairy herds. Dairy herds have a 70% prevalence rate of it, and it's likely because they're in more damp quarters and they are in more close contact with each other. But it's a growing concern, and it's not uncommon to find hairy heel warts in beef cattle that are being shown, especially at national shows, etc., because it is contagious, so it can spread from animal to animal. It's a bacteria that causes those warts in the right environment. You can create a foot bath of a copper sulfate so that the animals can walk through it to sanitize their feet, and so that the next steps they take, they'll be clean and they won't be spreading around the bacteria. So if you're looking to see what it might be, it actually looks like lesions. If you lift their hoof and where the hoof splits towards the top, you can actually see the lesion. It's very painful. Cattle will walk more up on their toes to avoid putting pressure on that and feeling the pain as well. And frankly, I would too. If you have an animal that is suffering, you can also be treating them with antibiotics after a discussion with your vet to make sure that things are taken care of. But you do want to practice good biosecurity to help prevent that type of a spread throughout the entire herd. So for those of you, if you're watching your cows tiptoe around, maybe that's a way to be wondering what's going on with them, and you can find out. So I do have to laugh. I had a listener just send me a message that says, hold on, we went from pasty button chicks to hairy hoof warts and cows. This is probably why I like plants better. And she might not be wrong. Maybe that's her favorite thing considering what we just talked about. But yet, I bet I made everybody pay attention and smile just a little bit. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. We will have Greg Hansen with us for Market Uncovered. We will be talking about what's going on in the commodity pricing and cycles, whether it's with grain commodities as well as with what's happening in beef, hogs, and so much more. So looking forward to having a chance to visit with Greg tomorrow. He's a regular feature every Friday in our 120 segment. A full week will line up next week. Lots of guests, lots of variety in the things that we're going to talk about. So stay tuned for that as well. I think that'll make it a lot of fun to visit and see what's going on as we get closer and closer to going to the field. So be ready to enjoy.
All right. Well, don't go anywhere. You'll want to stay tuned. As I said, we've got the LRC Spring and Summer Outlook coming up next on the Jay Thomas Show. starting at 2 o'clock. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.